it seems like kind of the general perception that anything virtual, whether it's a show or just kind of anything programming wise, still doesn't translate either into a long-term, maybe sustainable business, or even just a long-term great experience for the consumer. And so I'm kind of curious as to you guys, if if you all feel the same way, maybe kind of why that is and why it's been so difficult for people to kind of be able to maybe sustain this over the long haul, and kind of what you guys are looking for to do if you want to keep with this model moving forward.
Sure. So I'm going to disagree vehemently on that. I think that, a couple things, when you look at the evolution of this, it was just artists in their homes, staying relevant, giving their fans something. And then you saw quickly brands jump in and say, hold on, let's make this a Bud Light presents so-and-so from home with a charitable contribution here. You saw brands jump in. And then when you talk about engagement, not only for us is it so many demographics of people, it's a multi-generational viewing now. And I'm using Versus as an example for that. That's not necessarily a Live Nation event, but it's something where you have 7 million people watching, Jeezy versus Gucci Mane. And, you have multiple generations watching that. That's going to become a great IRL touring platform next year if the founders so choose to do that. And then you look at what we're doing, what all of us are doing. You see Rolling Loud on Twitch. You see what Genius is starting to do in the live space. And then Live Nation Urban with some of our festivals and platforms. There's going to be such an appetite to get back outside. But now that we've also attracted other viewers who may or may not have been able to make it, to our live events, but we're able to see what we're doing, there's going to be such an opportunity, and so it's really going to be dope to see so many people sell out in our IRL festivals. But then we also have that virtual component where I call it a pay-per-view ticket, our virtual ticket of $9.99 or something like that, where not only do we have the live show, but now people are still live streaming. So it's really ancillary revenue, ancillary income, and more opportunities for not only the promoters but for artists to make more money on the back end. So I think it's going to be a great and super exciting time, once this is all over.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I definitely agree. And I think that like what Brendan was describing, like this kind of hybrid model, I think is what we're going to start seeing a lot in, once we have the vaccines and once people start getting back into, gathering in larger groups, for Genius, it's, yeah, like I will also sort of agree though with you, Ogden, in that like the thing that has been, I think, interesting about the sort of beginning of the sort of mass live streaming culture for music, sort of forced by the pandemic, what we're seeing today, I think more and more is just like, when it starts out, it really is just strictly worse than the IRL experience, where it's just like, people are just pointing cameras at themselves. You're never going to match the fidelity of the audio of being in a person somewhere. You're never going to match the energy of being in a room with real people. And it's like what has become really important, and I think with the way what we're focused on is figuring out how do you actually leverage the fact that you are in a digital environment to do something that's special. Usually, it's not just about trying to make the closest copy of a copy of being in a room. It's like, what can you do that's special because people are accessing your show digitally, and like that's why we've leaned so much into this kind of interactivity. And we're not the only ones, I think, who have done lots of found interesting ways to actually take advantage of the fact that we're all connecting through these devices and not just sort of sitting there sad looking at something that's not quite up to what you would expect for a live show.
Yeah. Right. I feel like in the past, streaming was seen more as like an afterthought for a festival producer. We've been live streaming Rolling Loud since 2017. So meaning every Rolling Loud since 2017 has been broadcast available anywhere online, right? YouTube, Revolt, wherever we did it, right? But it was almost like an afterthought, whereas in the sense that we were just capturing the show. And I remember in 2019, I kind of tried to make it a little better. So I added hosts and a host to like kind of be in between sets, interviewing artists. But it's still like in hindsight, like it was being treated like an afterthought. So removing the fans made us really dive in and try to figure out how can we make the experience really something at home. And to Ben's point, and I seen Genius doing it too, we just had to think like, all right, if I'm sitting watching it at home, what's the difference? Okay, I can't make them hear me. How can I make them see me? So that's why at our shows we have the screens with the chat, and we prove to the chat right then and there, you're really live, and the artist can see your comments, and you could from time to time pick the next song and stuff like that. So, and I seen Genius did that pick the next song thing too. And I think stuff like that is clever. Having the Zoom wall with fans on the wall so they can be seen by the artists and also seen by the stream cameras. Things like that to try to make it, again, I would sound like a broken record because I'm always saying this, but I realized in this process that what we do as concert producers is we just provide a venue for energy exchange. And that when you remove the fans, you just got to, from the IRL experience, we just had to figure out, and what we're all figuring out here on this panel and together and everybody in the industry is how do we facilitate that energy exchange digitally? So you see it happening on Fortnite, you see it happening, people are starting to work on creating metaverses and whole like gamifying the whole thing. I'm excited to see where it'll go. For us, I know when we get back outside, our live streams of the festival are going to be way better based on just how much we learned in the past year. So when you stay home, it's going to be a better experience. But also, I plan to keep up what we're calling loud streams, which is basically a little mini festival we do 5 hours a day, 2 days, about 10 artists a day. And it's just a different experience, like I said. So I think it's something that people still enjoy. They like to, you don't always want to go to a festival. So sometimes you want to stay home and catch just a raw, intimate performance with one of your favorite artists. So we think we'll keep it up. Maybe not as often, maybe the same regularity. I'm not sure. Interspace between our concerts.